This session today is all about the Koha Staff Interface and the general overview and orientation. And essentially, I'm hoping that you will be able to see how easy it is to use and have a little bit of an idea as to how it could be used within your library. And really just to give you that introduction into the system. So I'm going to be using our demo system for this webinar. Since Koha was introduced, it has always been web-based. So since its inception, it's been a web-based library management system. Obviously, being web-based, that does mean it's accessible through the browser, and it has all the general sort of browser capabilities that you would expect. In addition to that, it does look very familiar, and we do tend to find that if libraries change over to Koha, staff pick it up really quickly because it is browser-based and the look and feel is very familiar to them. It is really easy to use as well, and I hope that even just in a short 20 minutes, you'll get a flavour for that. So I've logged into the system. You'll see the login screen in a moment. But over in the top right-hand corner, you can see that I have logged in with my login credentials there, and I'm linked to the main library, and I'll talk about that in a moment as well. And I've also allocated a till, so if you do want to take monetary transactions through your library management system, you can do. We have got a whole point of sale module as well. And you can register which workstation till you're using for those transactions to be recorded against. So once you've logged in, that information remains at the top right. Now, the reason I'm pointing that out is because I'm going to change user in just a second to illustrate the first thing. What you see when you log into Koha in this area here in the middle of the screen is dependent upon your login. So I've got access to all these modules here, and I can also access them from using the black bar at the top, and I've got my more menu here where I can also come in to look at the menus. However, that is controlled by my permissions. So if I come and have a look at my account and come in and have a look at the permissions, you can see that I have got access to all librarian functions. So I'm a super librarian, and that does mean that I can use all elements of the system through to the administration areas as well. But if we have a look, you can see on this screen that you've got the ability to set permissions for your staff users, and they can be quite granular as well and can be set at group level, or so if I wanted to give a user access to everything within acquisitions, for example, I can tick the box there. Or if I expand it, you can see that all of these permissions are listed, and I can actually go through and say what a member of staff can do. So for example, we may allow them to work with receiving items and so on, creating orders, but not managing the funds. So it is quite a granular thing, and that also then determines what you see on your homepage. So to prove that, I'm going to log out, and I'm going to log in as another user. So if you just bear with me, I shall do this one and log in as David, and you can immediately see that we can see far fewer modules here. So for example, he doesn't have access to the acquisitions module. He doesn't have access into the cataloging module either, whereas I did. And also, if we can see over on the right-hand side, he actually belongs to a different library as well. So if he was to look, if he was to try and access something else it doesn't have access to, he can't get it from here either. So I'm going to log out and log back in as me. Now, this is the login screen that you see. So you've got your username and your password. You can allocate which library you're working at. It does default to my library, and that will be your registered library. But if you are in a library organisation with multiple branches and you're going to a different branch from normal, you can obviously set which library branch that you're working at, and all transactions will be recorded against that. And this as well is where you can set your cash register. So again, I'm logged in, and you can see that I've got access to everything. Now, just before I go through what we're seeing on the home screen, I also wanted to just jump into another system just to show you, slightly different, and immediately you're all going to go, oh my goodness, that's very pink. It is very pink, but it's also very obvious. So the reason I'm highlighting this to you as well is just to let you see how configurable the Koha interface can be. And in this example, the library has made the background pink so that their library staff know exactly what system they're working on. In this case, this is their test system. Their live system hasn't got a pink background, so it's really obvious. And also you can see here that the font size is a little bit different as well. And it's important for me to say at this point that that is in the library's control. So they can just sort of style it using CSS themselves. That doesn't, we're obviously happy to do that work for you, but you don't need to come to us. That's the kind of feature set that you guys could do yourself. So I just wanted to highlight that. But coming back into our demo system, just to go through what we're seeing on the screen. Over on the left-hand side, we've got this news panel. Now, some of our libraries hide that completely. Other libraries really do utilise it for a variety of different reasons. Quite a lot of our customers use it in a way like we've done on our demo system here as a task list. So they're saying to staff, on a daily basis, you should be doing this, and on a weekly basis, you should be doing that. And you can see that there's hyperlinks in here as well. So if I was to click on this transfers to receive report, for example, it brings me into the screen that I need to work on. So I'm not having to find where that is. I've got the shortcut link. I can go home at any time, go back to my home screen by clicking a little home icon on the left-hand side here. Also within our news panel, we've got links into some reporting dashboards as well, and a link to background jobs. You really can utilise it for any reason that you want to do so. Sometimes people have just got nice images there, break it up a little bit. Some organisations put their library's logo in there. Really, whatever. And obviously, with the correct permissions, you can create new news blocks, you can edit what's there, and you can delete it as well if it's a time-based piece of news. So I just wanted to highlight again, I'm trying to showcase Koha's functionality and ease of use, but as well as the configuration options that are available to you as well. In the centre of the screen, we've got all our modules. And as I mentioned in my opening statement, we do have monthly Koha webinars booked where we will be exploring each of these modules in turn, and we'd love to see you there, obviously, as well. So, for example, we do have a session on circulation, we've got a session on administration, and so on. So little just bite-sized introductions into each of the areas. So I'm not really going to touch on any of these today, but underneath the modules, we've got what's called dashboard in Koha. Now that is dynamically updated. So this is where the things happen on the system. Possibly a member of staff or a user has submitted something and it's there for the library to pick up. So for example, if you allow your library users to make changes to their account details on the OPAC, then the library has to approve that change. Or if you allow people to do purchase suggestion requests, they'll come through onto the dashboard here, and then you've got a link in to see what these pending suggestions are. And from there, you can obviously choose to approve them for ordering or reject them. And each of this interaction has transmission with the user. So if I was to then approve this purchase suggestion, the user would get an email to let them know that it had been approved and continues on throughout that process. So the dashboard is dynamically updated, as I said, and it always appears on this front page. Now underneath that area, we've got the section which is known as the intranet main user block area. And again, you can use this for any purpose that you want. With it being our demo system, it is pretty busy, but we do have lots of shortcut links on here so that we can find things very quickly. But I've seen lots of our libraries really have quite a full area as well. And what it's ideal for is providing your library staff with the information they need on that homepage. So if you've got a member of staff that needs to run a report, rather than them having to go into the reports tool, find the report that they need, then select to run it, you can just have the shortcuts on here. And again, that's really great because sometimes you want to be able to give your library staff permissions to run the reports, but you don't really want them in the reports area to be able to manipulate them. So just by presenting what they need on the one page is a very quick and effective route. So just for example, in this case, I can click on a link here for reading report for item level holds, and it brings up the report information on the page. There's no selection criteria for the staff to use because the query is already there. They just click the link, they get their list, they work with it, how they have to do it. Okay, if I go back to the home page, we can also, as well as having a report links like this, you might also have reports that have the kinds of selection criteria here. So if you're wanting to have a look at the patron circulation history, you can absolutely go to that user record and find their circulation history. I'll show you that in a second. But you could just have a shortcut on the home page that says scan their barcode and type it in. And that's you making that selection, and it pulls through their circulation history in a report form as well. So here I can see what's been issued, what's been renewed, what's been returned, and the relevant dates and times of that transaction. Okay, so again, just really quick routes. Of course, these ones, that one I had to create a selection. This one just had the list displaying to me, but there are others where it might prompt you to make that selection. So just for example, if I have a look at circulation statistics by date range at my branch, well, date range implies it's going to ask me for selections, and this one does. So there are some shortcuts to reports where it will just run, and then there is some where it's going to prompt the user to put in selection criteria. And you can see here, you've got a little calendar gadget that comes up to help you put the data in the correct format. So like I say, just wanted to show that this area exists, and really that you can use it for any way that you want. But going back to the top of the screen, we have at the top, we've got our black bar here, which has some of the main modules. You can also append to this if you wanted to add more of the modules up here, but they are all accessible through the More button at this point too. Underneath that, you've got this area, which I like to call the omni box. So this box appears on every page, and depending upon the page that you're working on, it will give you different options. So it likes to be, it's like your main sort of search bar, your main assistant, if you like. So on the home page, it's defaulting to checkout. But I can also toggle, and I can do a check-in, or I could do a renewal, or I could search my patrons, or I could search my catalogue. And you can actually change what your default is going to be here as well. If I'm searching, so if I want to search patrons, for example, I've got the little icon here, which allows me to filter before I do my search. Same with searching the catalogue. So I can execute these filters before I carry on. Just to, I'll do a couple of searches in here shortly, but just to show the difference, if I toggle into acquisitions, for example, what you'll now see is that the omni box changes, defaults to vendor search, but I can toggle into order search if I want. And again, I've got my selection criteria, and actually I've got two elements to that box. And just a third example, if I go to authorities, you can see again, the omni box has changed with what it's offering me. Okay. So that's quite a nice feature, and it's designed to help the library staff do the main functions nice and quickly. Now, because it's a browser-based system, as you would expect, there are navigational links throughout the system as well, and you can have as many tabs open as you like. And to give you an example of that, I'm just going to come into my user records by pretending I'm checking out. So when I go to checkout, identify the user, and then it pulls me through, assuming I'm going to check something out. I'm not in this case, I'm saving that for the circulation webinar, but I did want to come into the user records. Incidentally, whilst we're talking about permissions, you can see that users are staff members by just having a little look at the icon there, and this little flash of lightning shows that this user has super librarian permissions too. Now, if I come in and have a look at my checkouts, you can see that the title here of this checkout is a hyperlink, as is the barcode. And of course, I can then click on these hyperlinks to take me to those records. I can do a right click and I can open the link in a new tab. It's really useful to have as many tabs open. If you are working on a catalogue record, for example, you're making some edits, but then somebody comes to the issue desk and you have to then move off your catalogue records to check something out to that user or search the catalogue for them. Open another tab rather than running the risk of losing the work that you're doing. So I can jump into my other tab and I see the catalogue record here. Catalogue data appearing at the top of the screen. Other things are hyperlinks like your author, your publication details, subjects, and so on. All of these can be clicked on. Koha would execute that search on your behalf. You've got book covers displaying, bottom of the screen. We've got our holdings area. This one is, I came into this record from my list to checkouts, so we can see here it's checked out to a user, and again, you've got the link back to the user at that point as well. If I go back to the user record, I just want to highlight with those two tabs, the consistency of the display throughout Koha as well. So in the user record, you're seeing we've got these menu options down the left-hand side, all connected to the user, but displaying on the left in this grey panel like that. If I go back to my tab for the catalogue record, the same applies. So you've got menu options that are relevant to this particular record sitting at the left-hand side, and I can toggle into them. Okay, well, sticking on this screen, you've got this area at the bottom here, which is in like a table format, and then you've got the tabs separating out the different information. Back to the user record, again, you've got your table and you've got the different tabs. So the display is consistent throughout all the modules in Koha. With it being a table form, I can obviously change the order by clicking the column sorter. So if I wanted to put it into A to Z title order, for example, I can do that. I can also have access into this column settings, so I can actually condense the view if I want. So let's, for example, have a look at this copy number field. You can see it's not really that helpful. It's either blank or it just says 1. So I think that's taken up a little bit of space. So I can come in and actually switch that off. So let's switch off the copy number field and it takes it away. And I can obviously put it back on if I wanted to do so again. Staff logins with system administration permissions can actually use the configure option to set these global settings so that the display is the same for all staff, but you can change it using the columns option there too. If I go to the top of the screen, we have got a breadcrumb trail, so you always know where you are. And from here, I can go straight into the circulation page if I wanted to do so, rather than having to go back home and then select the circulation page. So yeah, this just shows what's on the circulation, which is another webinar, but just to show you here, you do have context sensitive help. And it, as I just said, is context sensitive, so it will open up the online manual at the page that you're working at. So I happen to be on the circulation homepage, click the help, it's taking me there. It's fully indexed on the left-hand side, and obviously you can search. To just prove the context sensitive side of it, if I click on another area, let's click on holds to pull here, for example, and then click on help, I'm getting taken directly to that particular area of the help as well. You do also have at the top right hand corner a link to take you back to the last user that you were working with. Should you want to use that, then you've got a quick route back to the user record as well. And just very finally, conscious of time, before I finish up, I just wanted to show you very quickly the searching of the catalogue. So we do have various routes into searching the catalogue. You can use the Omnibox quick search at the top by just searching in keywords or using a brief filter, so you can search change the index there or select a specific library. You've also got access to the advanced search, as its name suggests, allows you to do a bit of a searching before you click, you'll be able to define your search before you execute it. And you've got the item search, so I'll show them very briefly as well. So let me just do a very quick keyword search. This is your search results page. So you get your brief information displayed here with book covers, descriptive information and holdings. You can see the top ones checked out, for example. As a member of library staff with relevant permissions, I can go straight from this results screen to edit the record, edit the items, etc. as relevant. And over on the left-hand side, you do have your facets to refine your search. So out of this 36, if I was only interested in what we've got in books, I can click there, it redoes the search, and let's take it one stage further. Let's see actually what's on the shelf so I could go and borrow. And it takes that top one that's checked out away as well. I mentioned we've got advanced search, so just having a quick look into there. Here we can mix and match search terms between indexes. We can refine our search by different criteria, item types, collections, etc. And further down, you've got the ability to limit by publication year and other things as well. We've got the item search, which is a great little tool. So both the catalogue search and the advanced search the catalogue, whereas the item search searches the specific copy data. So it allows you to drill down into that copy level information and pull up any results as required as well.